Welcome to podcast number 18 of the ISPC Tailboard Talks podcast. I'm your host, Mark. Along with me is my co-host, Jerry. How you doing today, bud?
What's going on, man? Doing great. Getting ready for cold weather.
Yeah. You guys in the south and your cold weather. I got you.
Hey, that's why we don't live up north, man.
I'm trying to get over cold weather, not get ready for it. So I'm looking forward to summer.
Dude, you know what I'm looking forward to? I'm looking forward to February.
Yes, the conference.
February 17th, the T&D Trainers Conference and Trade Show. I'm excited. If you're listening to this and there's still time, check us out online. Go to tdpowerskills.com. See if there's spots available. I know they were selling out fast earlier. So, you know,
looking for a really good turnout this year.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be sold out. We do still have a bunch of virtual spots available. So, sorry, shameless plug before we even get started.
Yeah, no worries. For those of you that listen to us on a regular basis, we're going to change things up a little bit here today. We're doing a podcast to commemorate our 20th anniversary. So ISPC has been in business for 20 years, hopefully another 20 to come. That'll get me well into retirement. The title of today's podcast is ISPC, the past 20 years. So we have two very special guests with us today that are going to help us kind of see where this all started and you know, how things have gone over the last 20 years. And then we'll touch a little bit on where we see things going, you know, as we continue our journey into the future. So,
yeah. And has it met the vision that was initially anticipated for the entity that is ISPC?
Yeah. Well, we got the perfect person to ask that today.
You think? I guess
be there
so.
in a second. So today's podcast is actually brought to you by ISPC, your partner in safety. And so just to give everybody a little background, if you don't know who ISPC is, the Institute for Safety and Powerline Construction was formed in 2004 as a nonprofit 501c3 Louisiana association to focus on safety, health, and training for the powerline industry, both in the United States and abroad. And the mission of ISPC is very simple. We are here to advocate for safety and health in the powerline construction and maintenance industries. And some ways we do that is through our research and development, safety, training and health standards, educating, assessing skills, you know, best practices, auditing programs, advising companies, management, personnel, and then some other things we can do. We can also provide safety initiatives and consulting specific to the electric utility industry. We do things like accident investigation, safety and training program evaluation. We do craft training, live line, bare hand, hot stick training, things of that nature. We have an evaluation placement testing program in all our line worker and substation metering transmission programs and such that you can use to help you, you know, identify where your folks should slot into training programs as well.
Phenomenal tool.
As well as understand where you have gaps in your training process, right? Where we need to get folks some more continuing education training and so on. So a little bit about who ISPC is and what we do, and we're about to find out a lot more of that because we probably have, we do have the two longest tenured ISPC employees on the podcast today. Without further ado, we have two very special guests joining us today. Mr. Ron Schenk, who is the president of ISPC and the founder of ISPC. Welcome, Ron. It's a pleasure to have you.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. Good to be here.
And then the other guest we have is Mr. Mack Turner, who is currently ISPC's executive director. And Mack has been with ISPC through a good portion of this journey as well. So welcome, Mack. Glad to have you with us.
Glad to be here.
Hey, before we get started, just to throw a little bit of trivia out there, we're celebrating 20 years for ISPC. Only about, well, let's see, 20% of new businesses fail within the first 2 years. and only about 25% of new businesses survive for 15 years or more. So we are in the elite of the elite for 20 years.
That's a good statistic to be, or I guess the right side of the curve, right? We're on the right side of the curve.
Exactly. That means you're doing something right, obviously.
There's some good reasons for that, and we'll talk about them.
Yeah, perfect. So I guess to start this off, we have to go all the way back to 2004. And so, Ron, just give everybody a little bit of insight into what inspired you to start down this pathway, right? Why go down this road?
Well, guys, it really started long before 2004. So we need to go back to about 1990. At that time, I was a consultant to the construction industry, and more broadly speaking, all contractors. But one of my clients was a Powerline contractor. And in 1990, Universal Electric Construction, based in Texas, made me an offer to come on board as director of training for their company and to help them create an apprenticeship program. And I was ready for a change and took their offer. Moved to Lufkin, Texas at that time, and spent the next 4 years with Universal Electric helping to put together an alignment apprenticeship program from scratch. Now, to throw out another name from the past, I've got to bring up Morris Mock at this point. Morris Mock was journeyman lineman, master's degree in engineering, knew a lot about the industry, and he was representing NUS Training Corporation, who I believe at that time had one of the few lineman training program curriculum, including materials to help support a training program. So Morris and I got together, and with his technical knowledge and the material from NUS, he helped me put together a 4-year, 8,000-hour apprenticeship program for Universal Electric. That got implemented, and 4 years later, in 1994, Universal Electric was acquired by Red Simpson Incorporated, based in Alexandria, Louisiana. And fortunately or unfortunately, they got me in the deal. So I left Texas, went to Louisiana, and basically John Simpson said, I want you to do for us exactly what you did for Universal Electric. So we set out to further expand that program, now from 400 line workers to 800 at that time, and ultimately we had 2,000 line workers participating. So the next 6 years I spent helping to run one of the largest apprenticeship programs in the nation, if you will, and got a lot of insight into what was needed, what was working, what was not working. And you can't, in our industry, get involved in training line workers unless you're involved in safety as well. So we had a separate safety department, but the director of safety and I worked closely together on safety and training for these 2,000 line workers, and I was astonished. I was disappointed. I was amazed at the lack of safety policy enforcement for line workers in our industry. Now, I've got to say at this point that both of the companies I work for were open shop, non-union companies. So we were hiring and training line workers. In some cases, they were IBEW trained line workers that would come to us, but the vast majority of our line workers were not IBEW certified. And so, again, you got to imagine what I'm seeing here. I'm seeing fatalities. I'm seeing injuries that are horrific. I'm seeing major injuries, minor injuries, and I'm seeing too many injuries and fatalities. And so all of this is kind of preying on me as to what do we need to be doing differently in our industry to eliminate fatalities and minimize injuries. And I kind of made almost a pledge to myself, and I guess you got to be careful what you ask for, but I kind of said to myself and to the God Almighty that if I ever had a chance to do something significant about this, I would. Well, that chance came in 2004 as Red Simpson was sold to Pike Electric. I decided not to follow the rest of the group to Pike and to see what I could do to form some organizations that could focus more in the industry on safety and training. ISPC was the first one to be created in 2004. I felt like that the industry and line workers needed an association that focused exclusively on them, not on the utilities, not on contractors, not on whatever, but exclusively on training and safety for line workers. So, and I felt like that the organization that was created needed to be a nonprofit, a 501c3, a legitimate nonprofit organization that could be seen as non-biased, could be seen as truthfully focusing on the welfare of the line workers in our industry. So in 2004, Wanda, my wife, and I created ISPC.
Tell us what that, initial journey looked like, right? Because, even today, 20 years later, I would argue that we still have struggles in getting organizations to understand how important it is to train their folks, right? And keep their people safe. We have some that have gotten it, right? We know who they are. We work with a lot of them. While we've made great strides, I believe, as an industry, especially probably in the last 8 years, 10 years, there's still a lot to do. So what did that early journey look like? I mean, how.
It it frankly didn't look like a journey at first. It looked like a dead end at
Yeah.
first because we had so many hills and mountains to climb to begin to gain any kind of respect at all in an industry that was filled with people used to doing things their way and used to dealing with injuries and fatalities as a routine part of the business.
Wow.
So until we could begin to get people thinking and believing that you don't have to get hurt or killed to do line work in our
Mm-hmm.
industry, we weren't going to get anywhere. I will have to say that at the beginning of the late 90s, we started to see a little bit of a crack in management throughout our industry that where people were saying, maybe we really ought to pay more attention to safety. And training is a big part of that too. So maybe we really ought to be doing more. So the crack was starting to widen a bit by 2004, but it was obvious that we had a long way to go, and ISPC couldn't do it alone. So we began looking for others to join us. So as you mentioned in the beginning, ISPC is a nonprofit industry
Mm-hmm.
association, which means that we have members.
Yep.
So a big part of what Wanda and I started doing immediately is going out convincing people to join
Mm-hmm.
us. And as I said, by that time people were starting to think we really ought to be doing more. So maybe by 2004, 2005, they're a little bit more receptive now to something,
Yeah.
something different
Yeah.
than what we've been doing because what we've been doing is not working like it needs to
Yeah.
be. So uh, bringing in members and associates and other folks of like thinking was an important part of those early years.
Yeah.
And it's still an important part.
Yeah.
Here,
That's what I
here.
was just going to say. Yeah. I think one of our biggest challenges, and I think we're starting to make some progress, is some of the partnerships and folks that have seen the light, that, hey, um, we can do a lot better here if we're all working or rowing in the same direction, right? Versus
Right.
trying to go in an opposite direction. So,
Here, here.
all right, well, um, about halfway through this journey, um, along came Mac, and so um, I'm not sure, if there was some fishing involved there. I know in my journey to ISPC there was some fishing involved, and I guess I took the bait. But so Mac, why ISPC? Right? What led you to say, okay, I'm done? On the private or public sector, whatever you want to call it, and decide to make the jump to ISPC. What led you to say, hey, I'm going over here. I feel this is the way to go, and this is where I can do what I want to
Well,
do or need to do.
throughout my career, I've always believed that employees, one, deserve to be trained on any task that they're asked to perform, and that training needs to be good training. And I also believe that safety is a very important thing. And I was really frustrated out with contractors and utilities at that time. I'd worked for both that said safety in name only, but they really did not mean it. They didn't follow it up with actions. And as we all know, talk's cheap, and I just wasn't seeing the actions, and I was tired of banging my head against the wall. I'd known Ron and Wanda and our organization for a few years, and so I decided to see if I could jump here to ISBC and Ron and Wanda's organization because I felt like they really did see a vision, and it's somebody that I wanted to work for. And thankfully, Ron offered me a job, and the rest is history.
Let me just interject quickly that one of the best things ISPC ever did was to hire Mac Turner. Secondly, one of the best things we've done is to hire Mark.
Well, appreciate the vote of confidence there. I think we probably all. I think I was really no different than Mac, probably, and probably not a whole lot different than you, Ron, and in the fact that um, while I was making or feel that I was making a contribution or making a difference working for a at the time a utility, an investor owned utility, you just I felt I just didn't have the platform that I needed to be able to influence or affect more, right? And I knew that my background is substations, and I felt there was a huge gap, not only at the utility I was working for, but in the industry period, that something needed done, and I had an idea what that was, and I just needed
Forum.
the forum, the resources, the ability to run with that, and I'm being given that opportunity at ISPC, and I appreciate that tremendously, and I think you know as we get down this road with the substation curriculum and the apprenticeship program, as well as the other programs we're currently working on and building and developing and refining for the industry, I think it's going to be a really good thing. So, yeah. Mac, Ron kind of told us a little bit about at least the beginning part of his journey. We might definitely talk a little bit more about that. But, you know, once you came aboard, I think essentially the day-to-day operations of ISPC fell into your lap shortly after you had started to work here. And so, what are some of the things? Did it go like you thought it would? What was the? I think we all have at least I can speak for myself that I kind of have a plan and kind of a vision of where I hope to kind of see things going, but that doesn't always just fall in our lap, right? It's a
Right.
lot of getting kicked in the teeth and getting back up and getting kicked down again and getting back up, and so what was that like?
Well, it was an exciting adventure for me to be able to do what I felt like was the right direction for my life and my career to go. It was an exciting proposition. Now, being a small business and that it always has its challenges, and those challenges are there. They're there day in and day out. It's not like it was when I was the utility or the contractor, and we didn't have to worry about budgets and curriculums and everything. It was just kind of all laid out for you. So, developing uh, our partners in the industry and getting people to trust us and being able to pay the bills and move forward with helping the industry has been a rocky road, but it's been a very satisfying road. There's many times when I leave a customer, when I send somebody to a customer and they'll write me a short note and tell me how much they appreciated things, or when you're out with a customer and they say, well, uh, we've been doing bracket grounding for years and years and years, and I'm the superintendent of this group, and I'm here in this class today to prove you wrong and tell you that we're right and you're wrong. And by 2 in the afternoon, he's coming to me and telling me on a break that, you know, I just didn't want to listen to you this morning, but now I believe in grounding and bonding and taking care of people. And times like that are very satisfying. And it's
Yeah.
really nice to hear that from the industry. So it's been rewarding, but it's a challenge every day.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that I think we've all seen it, right? And just in my, short time of going out and working with customers, I've already seen it. It's having the knowledge and having the experience and the training and the competency, right, to be able to step up and say, "No, guys, you're just not doing it correctly," right? And some of that started for me. Luckily, I had a chance to work with ISPC when I still worked for the utility I worked at, and got to partner with Jim Vaughn, who's one of ISPC's consultants and arguably one of the most knowledgeable persons when it comes to specifically grounding and bonding, but just in my opinion, a walking encyclopedia. So, it's I think ISPC, and maybe I'll ask you this, Ron. So, you know, and I had somebody tell me today that one of the reasons that they are expanding their partnership and going down this road with us is because of the top quality SMEs that ISPC has. And so I guess what's the key to success when hiring those right people, right? Like, because even from our customers, it's a big thing, right? They want to know that they're getting the best out there.
Yeah, the critical thing that ISPC needed to gain in the industry early on, and it's the same today, is credibility.
Hmm.
We're not going to influence anybody if they don't believe us, if they don't recognize really two things: the competence that our SMEs bring to the table, and the attitude and the belief system and the commitment that's true and not some kind of frivolous false
Hmm.
thing. I
Yeah.
mean, there's a lot of people, and you've all seen it. There's a lot of people that talk safety,
Hmm.
and they talk wanting to do things best practice and wanting to do this and that, but the commitment's not really there. It's And so the commitment for us at ISPC has got to be true. It's got to be real. It's got to be transparent. And so it's with that in mind that anybody that I've asked to come join us on staff at ISPC had to pass that muster in order to really come aboard. And I think all of the folks that not only are on staff but also affiliated with us continue to pass that muster. It's a belief system. It's a compassion, and it's an intense feeling about wanting to save lives and reduce injuries in our industry. Uh, and I think certainly it's taken a number of years for the industry to view ISPC that way, but I think by and large the industry does at this point.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Hey, Mark, let's take a quick second and talk about our sponsor, us, the Institute for Safety and Powerline Construction. Um, it's rare that we get to sponsor ourselves, but I have to tell you, this is why we do it, because our goal is to help you protect one of your most valuable resources, your frontline worker. And how do we do that? We equip you with industry-leading safety and training solutions. Our bullpen is deep. We can help you with any of your training solutions. Programs specifically designed and based on current standards and industry best practices to help you keep your people safe. If you want to know more, all you have to do is find us online, ispconline.com. Check us out. It is a member-driven organization, from advising members to associate members. Even technical schools can be members on this to facilitate their line worker program. Find out all about it online, ispconline.com. Become a member and see what we can do to help you.
Mac, I guess your focus, right, over the last 10 years or so has been ISPC and what we can do to, help the industry and so on. So maybe talk a little bit about what your maybe versus when you started at ISPC and where ISPC is today, as we're sitting here on this podcast talking, and and kind of what makes you proud, or what makes you sit back and kick your feet up on the desk and say, all right, we're getting somewhere here,
Well,
right?
as I said before, it's nice to hear back from people that you help them make a positive change towards safety and training. But when we have customers, I was just talking with another one this morning. They've been I guess we've been working with them for 4 years. And they called me this morning and says, we need you back this year. We need you to come in here. And so we defined the scope of what it was, and to hear how they're um, taking what we uh, put out there, the the messages and the work methods and that we put out there, and they're taking it to heart and they're having success with it. And so I asked this particular customer, I said, so we just ended 2024. I know that you didn't have any fatalities, but did you have any injuries to any of your people? And he says, well, he says, short of a vehicle accident that wasn't our fault, with a person in a line truck, got T-boned and got hurt a little bit. He says, we have not had any uh, injuries, any recordable injuries this past year to any of our employees. And so I asked him, I said, so how long has that been going on? He says, we're going on our 4th year without any recordable injuries. And I told him how proud I was of him and their organization in believing in things strong enough that they just have not gotten anybody hurt. And we hear that from various organizations that, what we're doing to try and guide and train people is working. And then we hear from other organizations that tell us, well, you came in and you did this training, and yeah, but we're still going to go with the old way. And a couple of years later, they call us back up and say, well, you were right. Let's work together. And
Yeah.
so seeing that and hearing that from people that's our customers and people that we've known a long time is very rewarding. It's rewarding
Mhm.
for me, but it's rewarding for all of our people that we have employed in our business here. And you can't buy that. It's
Mhm.
it's something that either people feel it or they don't. But it's certainly nice to hear how you've helped make that positive change in people's lives.
Ron, maybe I'll throw the same question to you because you obviously you were heavily involved in the beginning with ISPC, and obviously you're still very involved with the companies here and what goes on. But what makes you at the end of the day be able to sit back and say, all right, you know, from where I was in 2004 or even the late 90s to where we are today in this journey, what's that look like for you?
Well, I'm certainly proud of all that we've been involved in, all that we've accomplished, and the what I see as a favorable position in the utility industry for ISPC. We've come a long way. It's been a difficult, quite often, but always rewarding journey between then and now, and I foresee that continuing. And I think you guys would agree with me that it's the relationships that you achieve, build, maintain, continue throughout the process that makes it so rewarding, I guess.
Yeah.
That it's
Absolutely.
people that you're able to influence, maybe change a mindset, maybe change an attitude toward safety and with their own people and training and what it takes to really have a safe organization.
Hmm.
And we know that we're making a difference out there. Our goal is to ramp that up. We want to not only continue that with the existing clients we have, but we want to influence more clients. And the good news is that for 2025, I think Mac, you, Mark, others have built relationships, set the foundation, if you will, of relationships with large associations, large utilities in our industry that themselves have a lot of influence on what the industry does and the direction it goes. So ISPC is doing a lot of what I had envisioned and hoped 20 years ago, and I guess quite frankly, even more. Mac is yet to talk about the CUSP, Certified Utility Safety Professional certification and the process that we all went through to develop that, which I think is a significant, I won't say event, a significant thing for the utility industry. We have, I think the industry has had a few other things in the past where they have hoped to raise the knowledge and professional level of safety and training people in our industry. But it's clear to me that the CUSP program has truly achieved that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about that, Mac. So, I think,
Well, CUSP was envisioned by just some of us sitting around actually a kitchen table in a home, and we wanted to have a certification that would test people's knowledge and experience, and give them a more or less a plaque for their wall or a stamp on their card or whatever that says that, hey, I've gone through a rigorous process here of learning and actions, and I made it here. And So a bunch of us kind of sat around a kitchen table and envisioned how to make that happen and work together in cooperation with the Incident Prevention Organization, Utility Business Media. Uh, that's a not-for-profit as well. And we worked together to bring that CUSP program. And I believe it's about 11 years old, if I remember right, with over 8,000 members in it. There might be more. I haven't looked lately, but it is a growing organization that people can get into and prove that they actually know what they're talking about. So, very
Yeah.
proud of ISPCs and Ron and Mai and Jim Vaughn. We was all part of that direction going forward.
It's a critical credential for the industry and increasingly is recognized as the credential for safety people in our industry.
The key differentiator there is, in my opinion, the CUSP is really geared towards the field worker, right? The field forces, your workers, your supervisors, your frontline organizations. It's a, like you said, Ron, it's a credential that has become probably the leading indicator of knowledge in the utility space. And there's all kinds of safety certifications out there, but when you're talking about the work that gets done and the field working forces, I think I couldn't agree more that the CUSP has kind of set itself apart from everybody else with that aspect. And thanks to you guys for having that vision to say, hey, let's do something different here, right? It's something that I think we've talked about it a couple times already on the podcast here, that you know it's the individuals that see something and then have enough fortitude to go say, all right, something's got to change and let's make that happen, right? Because if we all just keep marching to the same beat, you know 20 years from now,
Yeah.
maybe it won't be you and I, it won't be
No.
me, Jerry, maybe it'll be you, but 20 years from now we'll be having the same conversations, right? So
Yeah, that beat used to not work, but I think that beat is working more and more favorably today.
yeah.
And to have the CUSP standardization for safety excellence be something that people in our industry aspire to and work to achieve.
Hmm.
Very important. So at that point, we're beginning to change knowledge and attitude and then ultimately behavior associated with what people do and how they do it relative to safety and training in our industry. It's been a wonderful thing, and so proud to be a part of that. And I know Mac and Jim are as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Ron, I think you've had great insight and foresight because, we've talked about on the podcast several times about how the new workers are expecting to be trained and expecting to be the continuing education. They're expecting these things. And for you to 20 years ago say, we're going to create this culture and this industry and this entity that is going to facilitate that and to facilitate, companies making that happen for their people. That's, to me, that's seeing the future and making something happen for that. And it's only going to continue in my eyes with greatness like that.
So many things in life happen when you're at the right place at the right time with the right attitude, with the right resources, and things start happening on their own. And again, to be create an organization that helped facilitate that down through the past 20 years and be a part of that is a tremendous honor.
I know we're talking about the past 20 years and how we got to where we are right now, but I think I'd be remiss if I didn't, offer up this last question that I have for both of you. And so, I'll start with Mack, and then I'll kind of let Ron, you know, go down that path as well. But all right, we're here, right? We're at today. I think you know, a lot of great things have happened, but ultimately, what's next, right? Where do we see not only ISPC, but I think, you know, in my mind, again, and people have heard me say it on this podcast numerous times, and I know you guys have heard me say it in meetings and other things. This journey doesn't happen by ourselves, right? The We need the customer needs us, and only if we're working together in partnership is this thing going to go where we want it to go. And so, Mac, what's you know, I know you might want to be here for the next 20 years, but you know, all right, maybe not. But you know, where's this all go now, right?
You don't realize
What's
how
next?
old I am. So, well, we've got to get everybody involved in going the same direction. Pretty much the industry has established the direction we need to go in to keep people safe, keep them alive, keep them from getting hurt. Also, from the training standpoint of it, I think our industry has made a lot of good changes over the years. But we're trying to partner with organizations with like-minded goals and a like-minded vision. And we've been successful at partnering with some of these organizations that represent 100 or 150, 200, 300, 400 utilities or contractors. And as we continue to go down this road, we got to focus and put our efforts into these big organizations that see things the same way that we do, that are really looking to develop things the right way and to move forward. So those organizations are going to play a big part. The other part is your mom and pop companies out there, your small contractors, your small utilities, people like that don't have the resources to really do what they'd like to do. And it's really good to help them, to be a resource for them. So those folks, they need us and other organizations like us a lot, because they just don't know what they don't know, and they just do what they have to get along. I was talking to one of those small organizations today. This lady, she's the HR person, and she's got 7 field people in the whole utility. 7. And so she's got 11. I asked her, so how many is in the whole utility? That's 11. And she says, we know what we want to do in that, but we just can't go anyplace. And how do we partner with you to help us? And we need to reach out to those people and be available for those people as well. So that's where I see the future going, is we're just going to continue what we've been doing that's the right thing to do, and make it work.
All right, Mr. Ron, your turn. You know, 20 years ago you saw a vision. Is that vision still the same today, or you know, what do you think? You know, the next 20 looks like.
Yeah, the vision is not too old, and the vision is as valid today as it was 20 years ago. But pretty soon, I'm going fishing.
I'm not biting. You
It is
already got me once. I'm not
time
biting
to
again.
pass the baton. My
Yeah,
wife says she's wants to go fishing too, so
nice.
we've put in place folks like yourselves and others that are well qualified to pick this up and move it on to the next stage for both ISPC and T&D Power Skills, and we're very comfortable to go fishing at this point.
Awesome. Well,
Well,
that
Mr.
kind
Ron,
of
I think
leads.
you've earned a fishing trip, actually.
Yeah,
If anybody has.
absolutely. So, I think, hey, that leads right into our last sponsor plug here, right? So, ISPC, our vision for the future is to develop long-term partnerships with our customers, becoming a trusted ally in their journey towards safety and training excellence. We aim to work hand in hand with your internal teams to develop customized safety and training programs tailored to your organization's unique needs. And I think, that's one of the key things I strongly believe sets ISPC apart, and not just because I work for them, but the ability or the willingness to adapt to what the customer needs, right? And I've grown up, obviously Ron and Mack, you guys have been doing this and been in this industry a lot longer than I have, but holy cow, even I'm approaching on 30 years, and it just what we have today versus what we had back in the 90s and the early 2000s is just heads and tails, better than what we had back then. And it's a tribute to organizations like ISPT and to people like yourself, Ron and Mack, that had a vision to let's make things better. Let's get people together and let's figure out what we need to do to make things better. And ISPC has maintained that same vision moving forward. That we're going to do what we can to to build a culture of safety and enhance workforce expertise. Right, that's what we're here to do, and we want to ensure that everybody goes home at the end of the day. Right, and so. I think, again, the key, we've said it time and time again, is if we work together, we can all shape the future of safety and training together, right? And make this a safer industry to work in. So for more information on ISPC, you can always visit us at our website, ispconline.com. You can give us a call, reach out. We'd love to talk to you. And see how we could partner with you and make things better for your organization.
And one thing that we have not talked about, and I think it's very, very exciting that we should talk about, or exciting that we need to be talking about it. Being a 501c3 organization, it is a tax-deductible membership.
Yeah.
If you want to donate money to ISPC, you can. It is a tax write-off for you, Mr. and Mrs. Business Owner. And if you would like to contribute and want to find out how you can contribute, again, ispconline.com. Become a member, become a donator, help us create these programs to bring this teaching and excellence to the rest of the industry. So it's not just about you, it's about everybody. If you want to be part of that, ispconline.com. And I think that wraps us up. The views and opinions shared on this podcast are the personal viewpoints of the participants and may not necessarily reflect the stance of the Institute for Safety and Powerline Construction and its staff. However, all of its staff are pretty much present today. It is highly advised that you consult your company management before implementing any actions or policy changes. Please support our sponsors, ISPC, specifically bringing this content to you. For more episodes of ISPC Tailboard Talks, subscribe in your favorite podcatcher and be sure to leave a review or shoot us an email. We would love to hear from you.
Thanks, Jerry. And again, Mac, Ron, can't thank you enough for taking. I know Ron's sitting in a hotel in Houston waiting to head to Bermuda. I believe you're going, right?
Going fishing?
That's the Bahamas. We're going
Bahamas.
Fishing.
Okay.
We're going fishing in the Bahamas.
It's warm. That's all I know. So
right.
The rest of us will be dealing with this cold weather. So thank you guys. Thank you for all you've done for the industry and continue to do. And glad to have you on this episode commemorating the 20th anniversary of ISPC, and hope that maybe not 20 years, but 10 years from now, anyhow, we can be sitting here, maybe having episode 200 or something like that. So
in the Bahamas together.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. So thank you all. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah.